Morning all, and apparently as we get ready for another monsoon here in lower mainland of BC, which means snow almost everywhere else. We've got 12 games tonight in the National Hockey League. 12! So, no further ado, there aren't any games starting until 4 o'clock, but there are 5 that start at 4 o'clock my time, 7 o'clock Eastern. So at 4 o'clock Pacific, things are going to get kind of busy around here. First up, Columbus in against the Boston Bruins. So the Columbus Blue Jackets, let's take a look at the month-by-month record of each team. So I went a little more in-depth with some of this stuff today, because I thought this was interesting to look at as we start 2020. In the month of October, 5-5-2 is the record for Columbus. 6-6-2 in November, 7-3-4 in December. They haven't had a month where they've won more than they've lost, if you count overtime and shootout losses as losses. Whereas the Boston Bruins, 9-1-2 in October, 9-2-3 in November, and then 6-4-5 in December. So December, they won less than half of the games they played. And they really need to turn that around. Now, team blocks and hits. Hits for Columbus, 807. Blocked shots, 616. On the Boston side, 975 hits, 524 blocked shots. When the teams score first, Columbus is 15-4-3, Boston 17-5-6. When they're trailing first, Columbus is 3-10-5, Boston 7-2-4. It's not the end of the world if Boston doesn't score first, but it sure helps if they do. And in Columbus's case, it's really important to score first. Overall records 18-14-8 for Columbus, 24-7-10 for Boston. That 10, I hate that. Anyways, next up, these teams will play each other January 14th in Columbus. Scoring over the last 5 games, Boone Jenner, a goal and 3 assists for Columbus, a goal and 2 assists for Pierre-Luc Dubois, and Wenberg has 3 assists. Werenski, of course, 4 goals and an assist. That hat trick helps. On the Boston side of things, Bergeron 6 goals, 1 assist in their last 5 games. Marchand 2 goals, 6 assists. Pastrnak 1 goal, 8 assists. And on the blue line, Carlo 1 goal, 1 assist. Still don't see Krug and McAvoy. Let's see how much that affects them going forward. So there you go. The overall numbers tell you Columbus needs to score first. Very, very important Columbus scores first. Edmonton, the Oilers in against Buffalo. So the Oilers coming off of a rough month. October, they were 9-4-1. November, 7-5-2. December, 5-8-1. So they fell off that cliff in December. Now it's a matter of picking themselves back up. On the Buffalo side, they've been falling off the cliff since October. October, they were 9-2-2. November, 3-8-3. December, 5-7-2. So while Victor Olofsson gets Rookie of the Month, the team themselves didn't play particularly well. Hits and blocks. 899 hits for the Oilers, 648 blocked shots. On the Buffalo side, 776 hits, only 441 blocked shots. That's right near the bottom of the NHL in that category. So not a very physical team with Buffalo. Scoring first, Edmonton 17-4-1. When they're trailing first, 4-13-3. On the Buffalo side, they're 13-5-2. When they score first, they're 4-12-3 when they're trailing first. So the overall records, 21-17-4 for Edmonton, 17-17-7 for the Buffalo Sabres. They met on December 8th in Edmonton. Buffalo won that game in overtime 3-2. So these are two teams that started off really well. They've both fallen off the map somewhat, although Edmonton currently is in a playoff spot, and as long as they keep winning, if they can get on a streak, they can solidify that playoff spot, but it's going to be tricky. Scoring over their last 5, Zach Kassian, 1 goal, 2 assists. Draisaitl, 2 goals, 2 assists. Nugent Hopkins, 2 goals and 4 assists. They do need Draisaitl to get back on a hot streak here. And Ethan Bear with 3 helpers on the blue line. Buffalo's last 5 games, Eichel's had 1 goal, 2 assists. Olofsson with 1 goal, and Sherry with 1 goal, 2 assists. Dahlin, no points. So some of the elite talents in Buffalo have had their struggles this year. And now they find themselves outside of a playoff spot again. And for Edmonton, they are trying to make sure that doesn't happen. And they're on the road in order to try to make sure that doesn't happen. But Edmonton at points this year have looked better on the road than they looked at home. So it might benefit them completely. Tampa in against the Montreal Canadiens. Tampa Bay Lightning had a pretty darn good December. They did. And Montreal, they're still middle of the road. So Tampa 6-4-2 in October, 6-5-1 in November, 9-4-1 in December. Montreal was 7-4-2 in October, 4-5-4 in November, and 7 wins, 7 losses in December. Middle of the road. And they're winning enough that you think, well, they don't need to tear it apart. They're not winning enough to make up a lot of ground on other teams that they need to and to hold other teams off. So they find themselves out of a playoff spot right now. Hits and blocked shots. Hits for Tampa, 879. Blocked shots, 473. On the Montreal side, hits, 1,096. They're hitters. And blocked shots, 563. When scoring first, Tampa Bay 14-4-1. When trailing first, 7-9-3. That is one of the better records when trailing to start a game. On the Montreal side of things, when they score first, they're 13-5-3. When the opposition scores first, they are 5-11-3. So it is more important for Montreal than Tampa to get that first goal. Overall record, 21-13-4 for Tampa, 18-16-6 for the Montreal Canadiens. October 15th, these teams met in Montreal. Tampa won 3-1. December 28th, very recently, they met in Tampa. Tampa won that one 5-4. That game being notable that Montreal had the first 18 shots, was up 2-0, and lost the game 5-4. The next matchup between these teams will be March 5th in Tampa Bay. Now, over their last 5 games, Braden Point, 2 goals, 5 assists. Palat, 2 goals, 4 assists. Killorn, 5 goals and 2 assists as Alex Killorn continues to have a career year. Hedman, 2 goals and 6 assists on the blue line. Montreal, Max Domi continues to put up goals. 5 goals, 2 assists in their last 5 games. Suzuki with 7 assists. And Nick's playing pretty well. Tatar, 3 goals, 2 assists. And Jeff Petrie on the blue line, 2 goals and 6 assists for your Montreal Canadiens. So it'll be interesting to see if Montreal can turn around their fortunes against the Tampa Bay Lightning tonight after losing twice to them already this year. Both games in regulation. Can they beat Tampa tonight? Can they get off to a good start in January? We'll find out pretty soon here. All right, next up, New Jersey. Yes, the New Jersey Devils in against the New York Islanders. Again, 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific. The New Jersey Devils haven't had a winning record in any month yet. They were 2-5-3 in October, 7-7-1 in November, 5-7-2 in December. On the Islanders side of things, they've only had winning months. 8-3 in October, 9-2-2 in November, 8-5-1 in December. That is a recipe for success. Win more than you lose. It just seems very, very simple. And yet, there's some teams that struggle to do that. Blocks and hits. Hits for New Jersey, 802. Block shots, 544. On the Islanders side, 1,137 hits. That's right near the top. And block shots, 656. So physical team, the New York Islanders. Scoring first, New Jersey, 7-5-6. They don't even have a very good record when they score first. Trailing first, they're 7-14. So they definitely are better when they score first, but not by a lot. On the New York Islanders side of things, when they score first, they're 14-4-2. When they don't score first, they're 11-6-1, which is basically the best record in the league when they allow the first goal. 14-19-6 is the overall record for New Jersey. 25-10-3 is the overall record for the Islanders. This is their first meeting. Their next meeting will be January 7th in New Jersey. So they're going to get to know each other pretty darn well in the second half of the season. Now, up front, over their last 5 games, Nico Hischier, 2 goals and 3 assists. Gusev, 2 goals and 4 assists as he really starts to get going. Jack Hughes with 2 goals and an assist. And on the blue line, Damon Severson, a goal and 3 assists. A lot of players that you want to see scoring for New Jersey have started to do that. On the Islanders front, Barzal, 2 goals, 4 assists over their last 5 games. Nelson, 2 goals, 2 assists. And Jordan Eberle with 4 assists. I don't know if there's a Jason Eberle, but I almost invented one. Nick Leddy, 1 goal and 5 assists on the blue line for the New York Islanders. That being said, I now need to change boards. All right, so next up, we have the San Jose Sharks in against Pittsburgh. So without Jake Gensel, does that mean that San Jose has a chance to score the upset here, or is San Jose just in over their heads because it's Pittsburgh, so it doesn't really matter if Jake Gensel's in the lineup or not because San Jose just is coming off of a loss to Detroit where they got shut out. San Jose has not had a good year, and yet November was excellent. So as long as you're a San Jose fan, just remember November. Just forget all about the other months. I didn't do the V for Vendetta, and I almost did. Now, 4-8-1 was San Jose's record in October, 11-4 in November, 2-9-2 in December. If you haven't seen V for Vendetta, by all means, go out and watch it. On the Pittsburgh side, they haven't had a losing month. 8-5 in October, 6-4-4 in November. So technically, they won 6 out of 14 they played in November. So they did have kind of a losing month, but 4 of them were in extra time. December, 10-2-2 overall. So, yeah, it's a pretty good record that they fashioned for themselves. And we'll see how it goes. All right, that's what I thought. Yeah, the numbers didn't add up, so it's distracting me. 10-2 is the record for Pittsburgh in December. So there you go, I fixed it. Hits and block shots. Hits for San Jose, 923. Block shots, 526. On the Pittsburgh side, their hits, 1,128. Brandon Tanev plays a role in that, absolutely. Block shots, 489. So pretty decent numbers for Pittsburgh overall. Scoring first, it matters more to San Jose. They're 12-5-2 when they score first. When they don't, when they're trailing first, they're 5-16-1. On the Pittsburgh front, 16-2-2 when they score first. They're 8-9-2 when they allow the first goal. So they do win games when they allow the first goal. 17-21-3 is the record for San Jose. 24-11-4 is the record for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Their next meeting will be February 29th at San Jose. It's a leap year, boys and girls. It's a leap year. On the last 5 games front, when it comes to scoring, Logan Couture, 1 goal. Evander Kane, 2 assists. Patrick Marleau, a goal and 2 assists. On the blue line, Erik Karlsson with 1 goal, 1 assist. These are names that need to start getting more points, with the exception of Marleau, who's actually been pretty good lately. On the Pittsburgh side, Malkin, 2 goals and 7 assists in their last 5 games. Brian Rust, 3 goals, 5 assists. McCann, 1 goal, 3 assists. And John Marino on the blue line, very quietly putting together a solid rookie season of his own with 3 helpers. So, yeah, there you go. All right, moving along. Florida. Yes, the Florida Panthers in against the Ottawa Senators. The Florida Panthers, 6-3-4 in the month of October, 7-5-1 in November, and 7-6 in December. The Ottawa Senators, 3-7-1 in October. They enjoyed November a lot, 8-8. And in December, 5-4-4. So they've won less than half of their games, but they're still moving ahead of NHL 500. Over their last 2 months, they're 13-12-4. They'll take that. Absolutely. Hits and blocks. Hits for Florida, they're low, 681. Block shots, 561. I will say this for Florida, though. They have good puck control, so it may just very well be that they don't have as many hits because they have the puck a lot. On the Ottawa side, 1,092 hits. Block shots, 627. When scoring first, Florida, 15-2-2. When they allow the first goal, they're 5-12-3. The Ottawa Senators are 9-6 when they score first, which is actually one of the worst records in the NHL. And trailing, they're 7-13-5. So they kind of have a better record when trailing first than Florida. But scoring first, yeah, Florida has the better record. 20-14-5 overall for Florida. 16-19-5 for the Ottawa Senators. These teams last met December 16th in Florida. Last time these teams met, it was a 6-1 win for Florida over Ottawa on December 16th. Their next meeting is March 24th in Ottawa. So these teams are, mildly acquainted. And for Ottawa, they're looking for revenge after that 6-1 whooping they took the last time they met, December 16th. Over their last 5 games, Dadonov, 2 goals and 2 assists for Florida. Trocheck with 2 helpers and Vetrano with 1 assist. Come on, Frankie, get her going. Yandel with 1 assist on the blue line. Now on the Ottawa side of things, Jean-Gabriel Pageau, 2 goals and 4 assists for him. Nick Paul has 3 goals and Nemestikov with a single goal. He needs to get it going too. Borowiecki, 1 goal, 3 assists on the blue line. And he's been fantastic. He's been one of their better players, to be honest, over the last... Well, basically over the period of the whole season that they've had thus far. I think he's been one of the better players. All right, moving along. Toronto, the Maple Leafs in against the Winnipeg Jets. The Maple Leafs coming off of a really successful month, and things under Sheldon Keefe are coming along nicely. I know they're not coming along as well on the power rankings as Leaf fans want them to, but it is coming together, and they're threatening to get into that top row. Whereas the Winnipeg Jets had kind of an off month in December overall. Now, October, Toronto 6-5-3. November, they were 7-6-1. December, 9-3-1 overall. So pretty decent record there. The Winnipeg Jets 6-7 in October, 10-3-1 in November, 6-5-2 in December. So it depends on the month. Now, hits and blocks. Hits for Toronto, 711. They're not an overly physical team. We know this. Block shots, 520. Again, they're not really an overly physical shot blocking type team. That's just how they're built. So I know I said for Florida that their hits are low because they have puck control. I know Toronto does too. But at the same time, Toronto is not a team that's built with a lot of physical guys. They could use a Brian Boyle that Florida picked up. That kind of player is what Toronto really could use. Although the storyline with Toronto is still trying to win with skill. So Kyle Dubas, it's all about skill. Block shots and hits for Winnipeg. Hits, 894. Block shots, 498. Scoring first, these teams have very similar records when they score first. Toronto's 14-3-1. When they trail first, they're 8-11-4. Almost exactly the same numbers as Winnipeg. When they score first, 14-5. When they allow the first goal, they're 8-10-3. So neither of these teams are ones you can count out if they allow the first goal, but if they score the first goal, they're usually pretty good at keeping it. 22-14-5 record overall for Toronto. 22-15-3 record overall for Winnipeg. Again, very, very close. The next meeting between these teams will be in 6 days' time, January 8th at Toronto. So these teams will meet again. Scoring over their last 5, Austin Matthews, 6 goals, 4 assists. He's fantastic. Tavares, 3 goals, 7 assists. Quietly fantastic. And Nylander, 4 goals, 4 assists. He's really getting it together, playing very well. Tyson Barrie, 1 goal and 5 assists on the blue line. Now, on the Winnipeg front, Kyle Connor, 6 goals and an assist. Blake Wheeler, 4 goals, 2 assists. He's bouncing back from a slow start. Nick Ehlers, 2 goals, 3 assists. I've praised Ehlers enough. Right? I've praised him enough. And Pionk with 5 helpers on the blue line. He's been kind of excellent for them as well. And this should be a game that's fast. So if you blink, you miss it. It's likely going to be a game that features, I'll say, 6 goals. I'll say 4-2 one way or the other. I want to say more. I want to say like 9 or 10 goals, but it should be Hellebuck and Anderson, right? So I don't think that happens. All right, moving along. Rangers in against the Calgary Flames. The New York Rangers coming off of that nearly comeback against the Edmonton Oilers. They almost came back, which doesn't matter in the record. This starts at 6 o'clock Pacific, 9 o'clock Eastern. 4-5-1 in the month of October were the New York Rangers. They were 9-4-2 in November, so that's their best month. 6-7-1 in December. And really, in all honesty, if they don't put together a run of 4 or 5 wins in a row sometime soon, they very likely are looking at selling off some of their veteran pieces that are on expiring contracts. On the Calgary side of things, they were 7-6-2 in October, 6-6-2 in November, 7-5-1 in December. So they're not falling off the pace on any given month, but they're not playing really great hockey in any given month either. Not when you look at the entire month. Now, the first 2 weeks of December, pretty good for Calgary, and it looked like they were back, and here we go. They're going to knock down the doors to become number 1 in the division, and then they didn't. Hits and blocks. Hits for the New York Rangers, 843, block shots, 574. On the Calgary side of things, hits, 730. I'm surprised at how low that is, to be honest. Block shots, 565. When they score first, the New York Rangers are 14-5-3. When they allow the first goal, they're 5-11-1. That first goal is very important to the New York Rangers. On the Calgary side, they're 10-3-3 when they score first. When they're trailing first, they are 10-14-2. So Calgary's reputation from last year being a team that comes back, they still have that this year. That is still there. Now, overall records, 19-16-4 for the Rangers, 20, 17-5 for the Calgary Flames. The overall record for the Rangers means it's difficult to just sell pieces off just yet. But it has to be in the back of Jeff Gordon's mind that we're getting close to that point where I may have to decide what I'm going to do with these guys and what kind of move we can make. They've watched the Taylor Hall trade. They have to look at what they got back for Taylor Hall and say, the Devils did pretty well for themselves. We got to do well for ourselves in this same situation. These teams haven't met before. They'll meet again March 16th at the New York Rangers. So I'll be in Vegas the next time these teams meet each other. Scoring over their last 5, Mika Zibanejad, 5 goals, 2 assists for the New York Rangers. Strome, 4 goals and 4 assists. Kaapo Kakko's been held off the board. And he is a topic of conversation often. Are they ruining him by keeping him at the NHL level? Should they demote him? What should they do? I think he'll be fine. He is a pretty darn good player. I think he'll be fine. Trouba, 3 assists on the blue line. Now, Calgary, 3 goals, 2 assists in their last 5 games for Monahan. Tkachuk, 2 goals and 5 assists, and Frolik with a goal and an assist. Hanifin, 1 goal on the blue line. The blue line hasn't been scoring a ton lately, so we'll see if Hanifin can get things going. But for Calgary, they got to be careful because this is a Rangers team that showed against the Edmonton Oilers they could be dangerous, and the Oilers took their foot off the gas. And for Calgary, they were in a situation where they were down 3-0 after 1, and they had to fight back into it and couldn't quite get there. So this will be an interesting game tonight. That being said, I need to change boards again. All right, the last board of the day, and for this video, I'm gonna have boards today. Anaheim in against the Arizona Coyotes. This is does Anaheim really have any hope left? I mean, honestly, and I know we're already seeing articles about how, San Jose is going to come back there. They could be the next Blues. I saw that article this morning, and it's like, we really have to do this because it's January, right? So now it's January. Now we look at the bottom of the standings and go, who's going to be the Blues this year? And my answer is the Blues were a one-off. All right. The Anaheim Ducks in the month of October. Like, there's a team out there losing on purpose going, we got to be the Blues. We got to keep losing. Anaheim in the month of October, decent, 8-6, although they started out 6-2. 3-6-4 in November and 5-7-1 in December. They just don't score enough, is Anaheim's problem. The Arizona Coyotes, 7-4-1 in October, 8-5-3 in November, and 7-7 in December. So they've fallen on a little bit of hard times over the last, I'll say, 2 weeks. But coming out of that win over St. Louis, we'll see how they do against the Ducks. Hits and blocks. Hits for the Ducks, 873. Block shots, 506. Hits for Arizona, 822. Block shots, 565. When they score first, Anaheim 10-6-3, which is not a very good record. When they trail first, 6-13-2. So they do need to score first. On the Arizona front, 16-4-1 when they score first. When they're trailing first, they're 6-12-3. Overall records, Anaheim 16-19-5, so not great. Whereas Arizona 22-16-4. October 3rd, Anaheim beat Arizona 2-1 in Anaheim. When they last met, November 27th, that was in Arizona. It was a 4-3 win for the Coyotes in a shootout. So close games overall, and the next meeting between these teams will be January 29th in Anaheim. So at least these games are close. Getzlaf has no points in their last 5. Getzlaf to me is looking just out of sorts, completely out of sorts for the Ducks this year. Kasha, 1 assist, he as well, not having a great season. And Comtois with 2 goals. Kasha, I still think, can be had in a trade. He was rumored to be going to Carolina in the Falk deal, and then that fell through. I really think Kasha could still be on the block. On the blue line, Lindholm has 2 assists in their last 5 games. On the Arizona side of things, Taylor Hall with 2 goals in their last 5 games. Soderberg, 1 goal, 2 assists, and Stepan with 1 assist. On the blue line, Jacob Chychrun, 1 goal and 2 helpers in their last 5 games. So Arizona, this could be qualified as a trap game, I guess. We could do that. I'm not going to, but I could do that. All right, next up, St. Louis. The Blues in against the Colorado Avalanche. This one starts at 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific. And for the Blues, they haven't had a bad month yet. October, they were 7-3-3. That's as close to a bad month as you get. 10-2-3 in the month of November, 9-4 in December. And their winning streak was just ended by Arizona. They're looking to start a new one in against St. Louis, or in against Colorado, who they've had pretty good success against. Colorado was 8-2-2 in October, 8-6 in November, 7-5-2 in December. So they haven't really had a bad month either. Now, blocks and hits. Hits for St. Louis, 835. I was kind of surprised that wasn't higher, but again, they have the puck a lot, right? Block shots, 480. On the Colorado side, their hits, 757. Block shots, 604. Scoring first, St. Louis is lethal. They're 18-0-4. When they trail first, they're 8-9-2. So if the other team scores first, St. Louis still comes back and wins regularly. Now, Colorado, they're 17-4-3 when they score first. When they're trailing first, they're 6-9-1. That first goal is mildly more important for Colorado. Overall record, 26-9-6 for the St. Louis Blues, 21-13-4 for the Colorado Avalanche. They met October 21st in St. Louis. That was a 3-1 win for the Blues. They met in St. Louis again on December 16th. That was a 5-2 win for the Blues. This is the first meeting in Colorado. They'll meet again in Colorado on January 18th. Scoring over their last 5, Ryan O'Reilly, 2 goals for St. Louis. Steen with 1 assist. Bozak, 3 goals overall for those last 5 games. Parayko, no points. He doesn't need to get points, but he's overdue for one. Donskoy with 1 assist in Colorado. Their depth scoring has started to fall off, and that's becoming a bit of a problem. Kadri, 2 goals and 1 assist. Rantanen, 1 goal and 2 assists. And Cale Makar has 1 helper in his last 5 games. So there are a lot of guys who are putting up really good numbers for Colorado that need to get it going again. And who knows, maybe having the defending champs in there, team that's beaten twice this year already, maybe that'll spur things for Colorado and get them going like we know they can do. We know they can do it. All right, next up, Chicago in against the Vancouver Canucks. The Chicago Blackhawks have actually quietly been pretty good since October. October, they were 3-6-2. November, 7-5-3. December, 8-6-1. It's not a stellar record, but they've crept over NHL 500. They've done it. And Vancouver, they just had the bad November. So October, 8-3-1. November, 5-7-3. And in December, 8-5. They had the one bad month in there. December started out kind of rough, but 5 wins in a row will turn things around for you. Blocks and hits. Well, hits for Chicago, 986. These guys know how to hit. Block shots, 613. Vancouver, 764 hits, 621 block shots. I would think all of those are Edler or Tanev. Scoring first, Chicago's 13-4-4. When they're trailing first, they're 5-13-2. So the first goal is very important in this game because Vancouver is 15-3 when they score first. When they're trailing first, they're 6-12-4. They allow the first goal too often. So overall records, 18-17-6 for Chicago, 21-15-4 for the Vancouver Canucks. November 7th, these teams met in Chicago. The Blackhawks won that game 5-2. Their next meeting is February 12th at Vancouver as well. So Vancouver sees them twice in Rogers. Now, scoring over their last 5, Patrick Kane, 3 goals and 4 assists for Chicago. Kirby Dach with 1 goal. And DeBrincat, 2 goals, 2 assists. He seems to be turning things around. Gustafsson, 1 goal and 1 assist. On the Canucks, Brock Besser, 1 goal, 5 assists in their last 5 games. He's on a pretty decent little streak himself. Horvat, 1 goal, 3 assists. We'll see if he can get his second goal at home on the season tonight. Gaudette with 2 assists. And on the blue line, Quinn Hughes, 1 goal, 1 assist. One interesting thing about rookies, we're around that halfway mark. This is where some of them start to hit the wall. Guys who've never played beyond a 40 or 50 game season start to struggle, and we start seeing point totals drop. It happens with rookies every year. It's that rookie wall. Some of them fight through it and start scoring again shortly thereafter. And there are some rookies that have the really good first half and just it never comes back for them. So let's hope that Hughes is able to turn it around and start scoring like he was early in the season. That being said, anytime you talk about Calder, it's still basically it's Hughes, Makar, and Olofsson. But in what order? That does look like it could be changing. Makar and Hughes have both slowed down. But Olofsson with 1 goal in the last 5 games as well. Again, it's that rookie wall. All right. And the last game, Philadelphia against Vegas. Yes, the Flyers. This one starts at 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific. The Flyers 5-5-1 in October, 10-2-4 in November, 7-6 in the month of December. But coming out of California with 2 losses in 3 games, they have not looked like a playoff team. And now they're in against a Vegas team that's coming off a pretty good December. They were 8-5-1 in October, 5-6-3 in November. They were one of those teams I did a video on a month ago about how they'll be glad November's over. 9-4-2 in December. Pretty good December for Vegas. They're number 1 in the division. And now they've got a Philadelphia team that has to be questioning themselves. Hits for Philadelphia, 799. Blocked shots, 478. Vegas, 1,167 hits. Don't be surprised that they lead the league in hits. Blocked shots, 593. Scoring first, Philadelphia, 15-5-2. Trailing first, they're 7-8-3, those Flyers. So decent overall numbers. It's just that California trip just made them look so pedestrian. Vegas, 16-4-1 when they score first. They're 6-11-5 when they don't. So if they don't score first tonight, that gives Philadelphia a much better chance, because 6-11-5 is not a great record when you're trailing to start the game. 16-4-1 when you're winning to start the game, that's a pretty good one. So overall records, 22-13-5 for Philadelphia, 22-15-6 for Vegas. You look at overall winning percentages, right now Philadelphia is a little bit ahead of Vegas, but I would be very surprised if Vegas doesn't win this one. They met October 21st. Philadelphia won that game at home 6-2. This is their second and final meeting of the year. And scoring over their last 5, Sean Couturier, 1 goal, 1 assist. Konechny with 3 helpers, and Lawton with 2 goals and an assist. Gostisbehere is still struggling. He has no points over their last 5, and they need him. They need Gostisbehere going. They need Couturier going. They need Voracek. They need all these guys going, and it's not happening. It can't just be Kevin Hayes and James Van Riemsdyk. On the Vegas side of things, Stone, 3 goals, 3 assists in their last 5 games. Tuck with 1 goal, 3 assists, and Stastny with 2 goals. On the blue line, Braden McNabb with 1 assist. McNabb's not an offensive defenseman anyways, but it is noteworthy as 1 assist in the last 5 games. So we'll see if he gets a point as well. That being said, you guys are all set for tonight's games. Let me know your winners, all that other wonderful stuff in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. Channel hit 130,000 yesterday and is up around the 130,100 mark today. So that's nice to see. Thank you guys so much for all your support, for helping the channel grow to the point that it has. And hey, I will talk to you again soon.